On today's video, the 2020 jumper guide is here. The most comprehensive jumper guide I could have given you while jumping myself with this free to play jumper account. This video will have everything you need to know to understand what a jumper is, why you should jump, if you should jump, everything and anything in the most detailed possible way as I did it myself. So sit back, drop a like on the video. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Yes, the 2020 jumper guide is here. It's going to be a little bit of a long video, but there are timestamps down below in the description for you to be able to skip ahead to whichever section you want to understand better. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the jumper guide. Before we start though, I'm a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms. If you enjoy the content, drop a like on it, and of course, hit that subscribe down below. 69.8% of you are not subscribed to the channel. Welcome to all of you new viewers. I hope to earn your subscription today. And thank you for making my dream come true slowly and steadily with a content live. Anyway, what is a jumper account? In Rise of Kingdoms, as a brand new player, you are given 2 beginner teleports. These beginner teleports are effective for the first 10 days of your account or until your account reaches City Hall 8. Those beginner teleports will allow you to migrate between kingdoms at the early stage of the game for your first 10 days or until you hit City Hall 8. Now, what folks realized is that they can utilize this mechanic to gain an advantage over other players, newer players. How do they do it? They create an account that will build itself up for the first 9 days as much as humanly possible, and then on its last 10th day, it will hop to a brand new kingdom and have an account that is about 9 days old in a 1 day old kingdom, which is a huge advantage early on. The way this is done is by having an account that is a brand new account, make it all the way to City Hall 7, and every single building and all that gets to level 7. And from there, folks start building up their troops, grinding barbarians for extra rewards, grinding guardians for XP, grinding anything possible to get themselves to a point when they get to their final destination, they have as much of an advantage as possible very early on. On top of all this, groups of jumpers were created in Rise of Kingdoms. This is one of those subcultures within Rise of Kingdoms that is super cool. There are vast amounts of jumper groups, and if you're looking for a jumper group, in the description down below in our Discord, there's a jumpers ads section. You're welcome to go there, not only to advertise your jumper group, but also to find yourself a good jumper group to be with. It's under the Rise of Kingdoms section, jumper ads. Trust me, I found my group there. I like these guys. It's one of the best places for you to get yourself a group. Personally, I prefer jumping with a group, although when you jump with a group, you have a lot of people that have that same advantage compared to you wanting to potentially get ahead of everybody else. Being in a group, though, does help you get a little more stable in the sense that there is a group of folks who are united into creating a brand new kingdom and taking over it all together, which, by the way, majority of the new kingdoms nowadays have at least one jumper group in them. In our process of jumping, we actually met with a bunch of groups along the way. It was actually fairly cool. Anyway, let's start talking about the conventional way of jumping an account. The conventional way to jump an account is by starting an account in a kingdom that is currently already established. It's one that doesn't have a fogged up map. It exists long enough. It's potentially finishing its first KVK for you to get KVK rewards. It can also be your main account for a kingdom. If you have another account that is a bigger account that you want to bring your jumper to start from there. There are many ways to do this, but the most common method is by having a beginning kingdom in which you stay for a day, maybe 2. From there, you go to a middle kingdom where you start building up your advantage. And then in the final kingdom is your home kingdom. That's where you start building up that account and live in it, essentially. That is the conventional way of jumping accounts. We're going to start talking first of all about that, how that works, show you guys this account and how this account went through the first kingdom, middle kingdom, and last kingdom. And then from there, we're going to go back to here and then we're going to talk about different methods of jumping that you can utilize, as well as different tips and tricks that you can use to really maximize your rewards and efficiency. There are a few other tips and tricks that you can go with if you don't choose to necessarily jump the conventional way. For example, we got lucky enough that this jumper group created their accounts during Family Day events. So the Family Day event is one that had a recharge rewards event, and folks who spend money on their jumpers were able to get themselves easily 100 sculptures before they even jumped into the new kingdom. And that was through recharge rewards, through the Family Day event, through different things that happened along the way, KVK rewards and all that good stuff that really helped folks. I mean, there are folks in here with over 100 gold sculptures, and we're on day like 5 or 6. Kind of nuts. That's the kind of advantage you're looking for. So let's start talking about the first kingdom. We'll go through the chronological order of the kingdoms, and then we'll come back here and talk about the extra tips and tricks along the way. Let's start off with your first kingdom. First and foremost, how do you even get here? You're a new Rise of Kingdoms player or a veteran, and you want to know how to create an account in a specific kingdom. The way you do that is by going through the tutorial if you're a new player, and essentially waiting until you can start clicking on things on the map rather than follow the animation. And from there, you want to go into settings, up in here, settings, and then character management. And in there, as you can see, my first account was made in 1891. And once I was done with the tutorial, I made one in 1627 by clicking here and picking the kingdom. That's it. Very simple. From there, you want to get through the tutorial again and start working on your first kingdom priority list. There are 4 major things about the first kingdom that are very important for you to know and do and choose correctly. You want to be in a kingdom that is winning KVK Season 1. In this case, Kingdom 627, shout out to those guys, are destroying their Season 1. And they allowed us, well, we're in here, and they also allowed us, on top of being in this kingdom, to get into one of their alliances to grab a couple of rewards and dip out. Thank you very much for that, 627. The reason you want to do that is because you want to be in a KVK that is about to end. I would pick one that's 2 days away from ending, and then stay in that kingdom, do your first kingdom stuff that you got to do, which we'll go over, and gain some sweet rewards out of it. In KVK Season 1, there are rewards that do not require of you to have honor points. So for example, these rewards right here will be given to us at the end of the event, just by virtue of being in this kingdom. All of these right here at the end of the event. And we picked up 2 easy peasy rewards early on with a bunch of speed ups for essentially free by just being in this kingdom. This is a winning KVK kingdom. If you manage to get yourself into an alliance that'll allow you to come in for a minute or 2 just to click on the rewards and leave, you can score some sweet, sweet rewards. Occupying circles, occupying all of these different things will give you a bunch of extra rewards, about 5,500 gems, a bunch of AP potions, speed ups, tomes of knowledge, everything you need to get ahead. You can get to a point where you have a nice little bag with this is a free to play account that's been alive for 2 days. It already has a nice amount of gems on it. It has some decent AP on it. And we got tons of books of knowledge early on. This is not that many, but for early game, this is going to be really good for us to start powering up our commanders. And 28 gold keys, which is fairly nuts. So that's the first priority. You find a kingdom that has Lost Kingdom Season 1 almost ending, and you stay there till it ends. We're still going to get a bunch of extra rewards. Shout out to the folks in 27 again, 627. They allowed me into 27 UL for the end of the event. Some of them are viewers, and shout out to you guys. And they're just like, you can get in here and stay in there. And so we're going to score some sweet Charlemagne sculptures. I don't know whether they're really useful for us or not, but it's going to be cool to just have them available. And a bunch of extra rewards, hours and hours of speed ups, an army expansion, gold keys, more AP. And by virtue of being here at the end of the event, when KVK ends, we'll also get a bunch of extra rewards right here. So a few commander sculptures, some gold keys, and some good stuff. On top of all that, because I'm in the alliance, which is going to be very cool of them to do that, there's also the alliance ranking reward, even though these guys are not necessarily like the first place in honor roll. But hey, any rewards are better than none. And at 28, we're going to score some sweet speed ups on top of all of this, and credits, which are going to go towards our alliance and the new kingdom we end up in. So this is pretty cool. Shout out again to the folks of 627 and 627 UL. Unfortunately, individual rewards, we don't have that much going on in here. But in here, rewards of first place, 10 more gold keys, 50 hours of speed ups. All of this is crucial for your first kingdom. While you're chilling in here, you start growing. And the name of the game as a jumper is you want to get all your buildings to level 7 and not cross that, because City Hall 7 is the limit before your beginner teleports expire. Once you get to City Hall 8, your beginner teleports go away. And the beginner teleports are the #1 thing you need to be a jumper. They are how you're going to get out of this kingdom to your future kingdoms. So you don't want to be crossing City Hall 7. And because of that, in 2 days, you can very realistically, even in an alliance that's just there, an open alliance clicking help, you can bring all your buildings to level 7. Continually build until they're all level 7, and from there, you chill with the building. While that's going down, you also want to make sure you're researching and you're doing everything you can to try to get a little bit ahead early on. These are the things you'll be doing in your first kingdom. But there is more. The most annoying part actually is about to come. And that is, when you get out of here and you scroll all the way up, you're going to find these very, very cool and quite annoying to get villages. You see all these villages right here that I've been in? What you want to do is you want to zoom out on the map and start going to every single village on the map. These villages, by just clicking on them, will give you free rewards. Speed ups, troops, as well as researches sometimes. There's some troops right there. So you really want to make sure before you leave the first kingdom, you get all the villages. Every single one of them. And there's tons of them. I believe there's like 1,550 of them. Even more than that. Just go by one and do this. Now, I don't recommend doing this on the computer. On the phone, it's much, much faster, or on the tablet, whatever you play on. The zooming capabilities of a computer is not that great. And with your fingers, you can just fly by this. The next thing you also want to do is you want to grab the caves available. Now, the caves are a little tricky. Shout out to Devil's Knights for telling me this on stream yesterday. They made a change in Rise of Kingdoms from the last jumper guide we did, where you're limited now to 400 caves before every single cave you get will give you the same reward. There are 3 types of caves: high, mediums, and lows. And to each one of them, there is a different tier of reward. The thing is, once you hit 400 caves, all you get is the lowest tier rewards, even if you go for a high cave. So what you're trying to do is you want to explore the caves on the map that are medium and high only. When you're in a kingdom that is a bit older in KVK 1, you don't have fog anymore. So you can see the whole map and you can go through and find all of these different caves. Now there's a small catch, which is there are tons of them, and how do you remember where you were or where you weren't? This is why I've been working in zones. So the map is divided into zones. You have all the zone 1s, all the zone 2s, and zone 3. What I did is I worked through this zone, cleared it from all the villages, and then what you do is you place markers on every single village, on every single cave in the zone you're working on. What I did is the blue ones are the ones that I don't want, and the green ones are the ones that I want. So as I went through and looked through these caves, all I did is wherever there is a cave that's yellow that I haven't gotten to, if there's a marker of a star, I don't go to it. If there is this marker right here, then we know we gotta go visit this cave, and this is a high cave. We definitely wanna get ourselves in here. Once you visit the cave, all you gotta do is go into the marker and remove it, and that's that. It's a little annoying because you're gonna have to go through all of them, but if you mark which ones you want and which ones you don't want, you'll be able, like me, to later on, once your scouts are available, to go through much quicker. As scouts take time to get to the caves, and you can, by the time the scouts even get here, I could probably mark out this whole zone. When you're done with a zone, you delete the markers and you move to the next zone. As you can see, I only made it about halfway yesterday. Why are you doing it by zone? Just because you are limited to, I think, 100 or 110, 105 markers total. So you can't mark the whole map. You want to mark your zone, get through the zone, unmark it, go to the next zone, mark it, get through the zone, unmark it, so forth and so on. These are the main things you do in the early kingdom. You're looking now to build some power, to get some troops, and to get all that good stuff. Should you spend money early on? You could. You could take advantage of the fact that there are some packs. Every single pack resets every day. You could take advantage of that fact and start buying like the lower tier packs again and again. Instead of having to spend hundreds of dollars at a time, you could buy the $5 bundles of each one of these that reset every single day to just kind of get yourself up and running. What you can also do is if you time everything correctly, you won't only have Call of the Ancients available, which is when Ark of Osiris happens, but also if you're timing it well enough or you're in a group that knows what they're doing, they're going to drop their jumper and get lucky enough, because quite frankly, this was very lucky by these guys, ending KVK and the family event happening at the same time. This allowed essentially for this jumper group to get a bunch of extra rewards from the daily stuff that you got to do. And you also get yourself a juicy amount of epic commander sculptures early on, speed ups and tomes of knowledge by just completing these quests. Unfortunately, not all of them are completable. Like, I don't think we're going to attack barbarian forts, but you can very easily send gatherers in and out to get field collection quite easily. You can also go hunt barbarians, which is very recommended. In the first stage, all you're doing is you are strictly building power. Now let's go talk about the middle kingdom. Once you've finished everything you had to finish in the first kingdom, that should take you about a day, maybe two, depending on when you get in and when KVK ends or what kind of first kingdom rewards you're trying to get. More often than not, people stay in the first kingdom between 1 and 2 days tops. It's time to hop to your middle kingdom. The middle kingdom is one that you'll spend a good 6 to 9 days on based on whichever way configuration type thing you have in your group. And the idea of this is now you're going to spend some time once more, first and foremost, trying to defog the map, which is a very annoying process, but one that needs to get done in new kingdoms. And from there, once you've defogged the map, or at least parts of it, you will once more be able to pick up tribal villages and caves, mysterious caves. Those will give you treasure, but you really want to focus again on the high and medium level caves. If you're in a very organized jumper group, then your group should know where on the map are all the different caves, and you should be able to know fairly easily which parts of the map you should defog to get to those. The thing about the middle kingdom is that this is where you start getting that extra advantage for your final kingdom. In the first one, you get all these different goodies and rewards and all that stuff, but in here, you actually start building meaningful progress towards your final kingdom. How do you do that? You do that through the events available in the kingdom. As you can see, we've had some Mightiest Governor going on. I've been training troops and gaining some extra juicy rewards, which is nice, but that's nothing to do with the kingdom itself. When you get to the kingdom, there are a couple of things you should know about. First and foremost is the Rise of Kingdoms event. This is an event where you have the ability within 5 days, 7 days total, 5 days worth of quests, to complete these different quests to get some extra rewards pretty much for free. The way you do this is you complete these quests, you do these things, and then you click on the chest. Now, as you can see, I am in the middle kingdom on the final day of this, so it is time for me to get out of here before I lose all my progress here. Friendly advice, you do not want to pick up the chest no matter what, because at that point, what you're doing is you're canceling your ability to get more of these in your final kingdom. The idea in here is for you to get as many multipliers as possible before you go to your final kingdom. While this goes on, there are a bunch of other events you can participate in. For example, right now, Strategic Reserve is going on this final day. Before that, we had the Lohar's Trial, which was a very good event to get yourself some extra awesome rewards. The Middle Kingdom is where you don't get anything but train some troops normally, keep grinding the barbarian hunt, and keep doing your things. You do not build anything. You do not go past City Hall 7 yet. You just grind for rewards. You do as many barbarians as you can. You do as many of these supply boxes as you can if you stay long enough. The ideal Middle Kingdom is one that you get into on day 1 of it. Why? You want from day 1 of that kingdom to start grinding the events. On day 2, you'll get Lohar for 3 days, and from there you continue on. Once you've finished everything you can, or you run out of time on your beginner's teleport, which has 10 total days, it's time to finally go to your final kingdom. In the group that I'm in right now, they've chosen a specific kingdom, which opened up a day ago or so. So it's time for us to get the hop going. But before we leave, it's important for you to remember what you need to do in the middle kingdom. So I'll reiterate it again. You want to get in here into a kingdom that's on its day 1 or 2 tops. From there, grind the barbarians, grind the defogging to get more rewards, to get more caves, more villages and all that good stuff. You want to keep training troops. And then once you hop to your final kingdom, which will be on its day 1, you're coming in with a lot of power, with a good amount of troops ahead of any new player, and you can probably get a lot more than I did. I was not 100% focused on this account. I could have probably doubled up the amount of troops that I have and even gathered even further. But for now, this will do. You did all the middle kingdom things to do. Each group that you jump with will have its own little tasks and things they do. One of the things that this middle kingdom managed to do is we picked up first occupation on, I can't show it to you, but we picked up first occupation on one of these sanctums, which opened up very early. And when we picked up first occupation, it also gave us some extra rewards. If your group is well enough organized for you to be able to get that, then you can get yourself some free rewards by first occupying sanctums. Now, once you first occupy, once you did all these things, it is time to go to the final kingdom. This is the kingdom, the middle kingdom is the one that has kind of the least things happening. It's the one where you grind the training, grind the barbarians, start building up your commanders. We haven't used our gold keys yet, but as you can see, we have built up our Sun Tzu already to a 512. He is level 20 already, making his way to level 30. And we have our Constance, who's already gathering. We have all of these good things for us to start working on getting into the final kingdom with as much progress as possible. And with that being said, let's hop to our final kingdom. The final step in this jumper journey is to finally get home. Your final kingdom, the third kingdom, the one you'll be living in for the rest of time until you decide to migrate off, really. And here's the thing. The middle kingdom is where you spend between 5 to 8 days if you're really trying to squeeze all the juice out of it. And then from there, you jump to your final kingdom. The final kingdom is one that is a brand new kingdom. You really want to jump into the kingdom as early as possible. You can get away with a kingdom that is 1 day old, but you don't want to go too far into a kingdom because you don't want to miss out on the first week's worth of events. We are about like 5 days into this, so we're towards the tail end of these events, but I'm talking about Rise of Kingdoms event where you are trying to gain a bunch of these Emblem of Loyalty, Wood, and 5-minute speed ups by doing quests. You want to make sure you get then out of these some juicy rewards. Who Will Reign Supreme is also one of those events that's very important for you early on, and you want to maximize your output on it to get as many rewards as possible, potentially make it to that 1.5 million power. And for that, you really want to make sure you are getting into the kingdom early on and starting early on. And so that's very important. Lohar's Trial comes in on day 2. It's why, or day 3 probably, it's why it's okay to miss the first like day worth of events in the kingdom, but you don't want to jump into a final kingdom that is like 2, 3, even 4 days old, because you're kind of missing the point. The idea is for you to come into a kingdom where the days you've gained as a jumper are your advantage. If you come into a 4-day-old kingdom after spending 9 days building up your jumper, then you are 5-ish days ahead, except for the fact that in those 9 days, there was a limit where you had to stop growing to not pass City Hall 7, while in the final kingdom, after 4 days, there are definitely people who are ahead of you in that department. You don't want to get into a third kingdom that is too old. I don't think that jumping into a kingdom that's older than 1 day, at maybe somewhere in the middle of its second day, should be okay. Anything above that, you're kind of losing your advantage as a jumper. You want to be one of the first people to hit it set at City Hall 10, to hit City Hall 12, 13, 15, 20, 25. If you're someone like Ginger Wolf in this group, you want to be after 4 days, City Hall 25, you could do that. There's a bunch of folks over City Hall 20 by now, and we're only talking about like day 5 of this kingdom. So there's definitely ways for you to really gain that extra edge, but you don't want to do it by coming into an older kingdom. This, in my turn, for example, caused a small situation, quote unquote. And that is because this jumper actually spent, I believe, 6 days in its middle kingdom rather than 8-9 days total. I created my account a little bit late, so I missed out on maybe a day or two worth of things that I could have gotten extra, such as more troops, more defogging for more caves and stuff like that. So this is not the ideal, ultimate, like top tier level of jumper. But you can definitely squeeze the juice a little bit more if you really want to. You don't want to jump into a kingdom that is too old. Now, let's go into some tips and tricks on top of what we talked about of the 3 kingdoms, which are things that you can do that are different than this path that I gave you. Up until now, we talked about first kingdom, middle kingdom, and third kingdom, and the more conventional way of doing a jumper. However, there are more tips and tricks of things you can do to even optimize further, to get better rewards, to get different rewards, and to try to get a different type of an advantage on your account. Let's talk about a few of those things. So now that you kind of understand the basic concepts of jumping an account from first kingdom to middle kingdom to your final kingdom, let's talk about different, less conventional ways of doing this type of jump. So if you are someone who has an account already in Rise of Kingdoms, you're not a new player, you can potentially decide to create your jumper in its first kingdom in your big account's home kingdom. If you can get yourself into your home accounts, like your big account's biggest alliance, to get in there for a couple of days, those rewards you'll get out of the hunting of our barbarian forts or even the gifts that are being bought and things like that can give you a huge advantage for your jumper early on. I've heard of folks who brought in their jumper to their main account's kingdom and done many different types of events with their own main account. For example, someone told me that what they did is through Karok ceremony, they created their jumper when Karok ceremony was going on. They utilized their big account to help the jumper finish Karok ceremony, the first stage. And then the jumper account, once Karok ceremony happens in their final destination, they'll already be done with the first stage of Karok, get a bunch of sculptures out of that too. And it's a nice little advantage to have very early on. There are also other types of events. I believe it's called the Tribal Village or something like that. There's an event where all you got to do is hunt barbarians, and when you do that, you get a bunch of epic sculptures out of it, which can be great for your jumper to get that first account of yours, the first commander of yours expertise quicker. There are other things you can do with your big account, such as just being in an alliance where you can do guardians and level up your commanders very early on. There are many different ways that you can utilize your big account to help your jumper early on. If you decide not to go with the conventional way of just, doing the first, middle, and final kingdom, you can sit where your big account is for the whole 9 days to really rack up as much advantage as you can and then go to your final destination. You can do the same of just staying in your big account's alliance for the first 2 days and then hop to a middle alliance, a kingdom. That's okay too. You can really time your account creation to have an awesome event happen at the same time where you can utilize your big account to help you out finish it. Or even if you don't need your big account to help you finish it, if, for example, you create your account when a More Than Gems event is going on and you spend money to get those 50,000 gems very early on, I think that More Than Gems you can do under City Hall 8, and then you can potentially get a bunch of legendary commander sculptures out of spending gems, which you can easily spend gems under City Hall 7. You can very easily just hop your VIP level or buy any other item that you think would be useful to you, including just buying speed ups and things like that. If that's what you're looking for, you can do that. Don't necessarily think that a jumper account has to be like the conventional path. If you find a way in which you can get an extra advantage in any shape or form, do it. Like I mentioned, the Family Day event was a great advantage for the folks in this group. I've heard of folks who timed 3 or 4 different events together. I believe at some point someone told me that they created a jumper while Lohar's Trial and Strategic Reserve is going on at the same time in their home kingdom, and he spent the first 2 days really grinding the heck out of that and getting a bunch of rewards out of it. There are very different conventional ways for you to get yourself an extra advantage. There's one more way that I want to show you of an extra advantage you can gain, but for that, we're going to have to switch accounts really quickly. One thing folks have been doing, which is super cool, they've been creating like this shell account, right? Just an account that they don't access for 30 days. When you don't access an account for 30 long days, what ends up happening is you get a nice little The King's Return event. Now, the rewards out of it are not something that you can utilize for your jumper. However, within this event, you have a new journey. And this a new journey event, which lasts for the first 7 days of you coming back, will allow you to get all of these awesome rewards by simply creating a new account in a new kingdom. You can very easily create your jumper account through this, and that jumper account in its creation will get all of those rewards for free. So if you're looking to make a jumper, you might want to consider having an account that you haven't accessed in 30 days. I'm pretty confident that you can get yourself, you probably made an account that you haven't accessed, or even if you're making an account just to have one for the future, it's definitely worth it. 500 gems, 5 gold keys, food and wood, and a teleport early on. Why not? Easy rewards out of that. A small extra edge that you can get for your account, one that I didn't know about when I created mine, and unfortunately I missed out on, but you can definitely know about it. And now it's the time for you to drop a like on the video if you didn't think about this or didn't know about this. An extra 5 gold keys for you. Now let's get back to the other account. That little bit of extra edge is always good. 5 gold keys, I would have taken it in a heartbeat if I knew about this thing. It goes to show that, quite frankly, I cannot give you a guide that is 100%. People are getting smarter and smarter and more ingenious about how they do jumpers every single day, which is why I really recommend, if you want to make a jumper, find a jumper group. You can find one in our Discord, linked in the description down below, like mentioned before, because these groups share with each other all these tips and tricks for success, and they will help you establish the best jumper account possible early on. Finally, is it worth making a jumper? I understand that some of you have invested everything you had, all your time, all your energy, all the everything in that one account that you're working on. It's really rough to start a new account, but I'll tell you, it's some of the most fun stuff in this game, starting that new account, the early part of the game, to build yourself back up, and along the way to meet new people, a new group of awesome people like I did with this jumper group. And so I encourage you, if you're finding a little bit of a downtime in the game, if you're losing your enchantment by this game, if you're getting bored a little bit, try to potentially make a jumper account. Believe it or not, they are very, very fun, and they might bring you back into wanting to play this game and maybe even bail out on the old account and really focus on the brand new account. I know a lot of folks who've made jumpers over and over and over and really keep enjoying this game because every few months they make a new jumper account and really kind of start from scratch and get better and better. Some folks do the other way, right? They, more often than not, their jumpers end up becoming farms to their big accounts at the end of the day. But hey, if one of them succeeds, you have something else to do, especially if you can set it up so that one of your accounts has KVK while the other one doesn't, and then the other one has when the one doesn't, and then you always have something to do. Consider that as a fruit for thought, whether or not you should create a jumper account. We will start updating you guys much more about this account now that this guide is out. So look forward for the free-to-play jumper series that we're officially starting with this video and future videos on. From now, I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys for watching this video, dropping a like on it, subscribing to the channel, and all that good stuff. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Enjoy the rest of your week and take care. Peace.